The Peshtigo Fire was the deadliest wildfire in recorded history. The fire occurred on October 8, 1871, in northeastern Wisconsin. The fire is estimated to have taken the lives of as many as 2,500 people and burned 1.2 million acres. The town of Peshtigo was home to approximately 1,700 residents and was gone within an hour after the flames reached the town. The fire didn't receive much national attention because it occurred on the same day as the Great Chicago Fire, despite the fact it killed 5 times more people than the Great Chicago Fire. This is the story. There have been multiple theories about how the Peshtigo Fire started. Early speculation suggested that the start of the Peshtigo and Chicago fires on the same day was no coincidence. It was believed that the fires were started from fragments of Biela's comet hitting Earth. Many people believed this theory not only because of the sheer number of fires that happened on October 8, 1871, but because witnesses said they saw blue flames in the basements of burning houses, which were believed to be gases from the comet. The theory wasn't thoroughly investigated until 2004, and it is now believed that the blue flames were because of burning gases. But instead of comets, it was from carbon dioxide that lingered in the basements that weren't as well ventilated as they are now. Modern science was also skeptical of the comet theory because meteorites, especially ones from frozen comets, are cold to the touch when they reach Earth's surface. The start of the fire might be as simple as a campfire that got out of control. 1871 was a particularly dry year, and on the day of the fire, a powerful cold front swept across the upper Midwest, bringing strong winds with it. It was also commonplace for people to burn to clear the forest for railroads and for farmers to have more farmland. The combination of fire and strong winds from the cold front created a phenomenon known as a firestorm. A firestorm has winds that create a vortex which supplies the fire with more oxygen and superheats the flames to create essentially an explosion of fire. Houses could be completely engulfed in flames in mere seconds. The combination of wind, fire, and terrain that made the Peshtigo Fire possible was studied and emulated by both Americans and the British during World War II. 17 communities and 1.2 million acres were destroyed in the massive wildfire. It destroyed at least 2 million trees and killed countless animals. The Peshtigo Fire is the deadliest wildfire in all of American history. There isn't even an accurate death toll, considering the local records were also destroyed in the fire. It is estimated that between 1,500 and 2,500 people lost their lives in the wildfire. There are mass graves of people whom had no one left alive to help identify them. Survivors claim they witnessed fire tornadoes that threw houses into the air. Some survivors of this tragedy were able to protect themselves in the Peshtigo River. Many people drowned trying to keep from burning alive. Some even perished from hypothermia while seeking refuge in the river because of the cold Wisconsin waters. In an eyewitness account by Reverend Peter Pernin, he wrote in reference to himself and the townfolk's journey to the river. People seemed stricken dumb by terror. They jostled each other without exchanging look, word, or counsel. We all hurried blindly onto our fate. He goes on to describe the fire darting over the water. They had to continually splash the cold water over their heads to keep from burning. Some people covered their heads with drenched blankets to avoid the flames. The Great Chicago Fire and the Peshtigo Fire were not the only 2 fires that happened on this day either. There was a fire started on the Door Peninsula of Wisconsin as well, on the other side of Green Bay from Peshtigo. It is a common legend that the Peshtigo Fire actually jumped the bay, which is about 15 miles wide. This isn't true though. The fast winds and dry conditions likely created new fires elsewhere that burned independently of the Peshtigo Fire. Unfortunately, because the Peshtigo Fire was greatly overshadowed by the Great Chicago Fire, it took days for any aid to arrive to help survivors. Once word of the fire had reached bigger cities, many of them had already sent people and equipment to help Chicago, and could only offer what they had left. There was only one partially built house that remained standing in the town. I can only imagine the horror the survivors felt once the fire was past and they were surveying the damage. Nothing but charred bodies of their loved ones and neighbors. They had no supplies, no shelter, no horses, and they were surrounded by miles of smoldering wasteland. The town was eventually rebuilt when a politician and lumber company owner, William Butler Ogden, traveled to the town with the aim to rebuild it. It took years, and today Peshtigo is a typical town with a tragic history. The town includes the Peshtigo Fire Museum, which houses artifacts saved from the fire, and a graveyard memorial for the victims.